Chimera update. Ooh, look at that. Chimera update. They are freshly built, but not yet dry. They're glued, and they are starships from Starship Chimera, the destination, Starship Locations, destinations. The third and final chapter. The models are in production on the set. Here we have, let's see, we wrote down, I scribbled on some of them what they were. This is the one named for the Power Ranger that died, Jason David Frank. Almost identical ship, the Young Sa. Actually get a Cillian version. These are going to be based on the books again, so we don't need to do a novelization of this because these stories are basically updates of the novelizations. There's no point in doing another novelization of this season because it's just more of the same. So, but the episodes will be interesting because they will be new to fans of Chimera, and Starship Locations. Starship Locations destinations will be new. They're adapting the stories we did before. Some of them we did before. Fearful Symmetry and the Arbiter. Also, the cardboard model shuttle was destroyed, but went today to the place and to the Michaels. This is a very cool model. This is the shuttle, but of course you would just see the shuttle, and at the front isn't the blast shield's not on it. But yeah, this thing comes apart, so we can film inside it. This is intensely clever. This is like really cool. These little pod things come off. This goes in, these come off. So you can go in and film inside the shuttle if you want to. You can move everything over. This little thing pops down, becomes a door, back hatch for the ship. That is amazing. That is so freaking cool. Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, well, we didn't have the cardboard shuttle model anymore. Why don't we make one? And spent like an hour in the Michaels store. This is the Michaels product. This is a shuttlecraft. There's very little that is from Home Depot or from the dollar store. That is mostly Michaels. And yeah, bit of a splurge. But yes, we needed a new shuttle. Space truck. We're calling it the space truck. The truck from the future. The future of space. The space truck. And it's in space, so it doesn't need to be aerodynamic because it's not actually going to land anywhere. I'm assuming it can land just because it has rockets on it that are kind of like, you know. But yeah, that is so freaking cool. Oh my goodness. Here we have, they're not painted yet, but here we have, this is the San Jose A. Kal class ship, and the Cerritos. From a scene in the story, the Cerritos. That's the Cerritos A. Wouldn't be the original one. That's what that is. That's the Cerritos. That is it's very exciting. But yes, very exciting. That's a Dominion ship / alien ship / thing. It's very wet. And from all the parts that are left over. We just had enough parts left over to do that. That is the Flyer. It's the original Flyer ship, sort of a Daedalus crossed with a cargo ship. It's kind of what it was. And this is the DC Fontana from Fontana and the Clerks. Now, all of these realize that an actual physical model, and that's like, holy crap. Wow, that's awesome. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's very exciting. All we got to do is sit here and dry. So, the production has begun on Chimera almost immediately after the Robotech. And the models, there are what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ships in the story. And the shuttle. And that thing is really cool. You can lift the pieces off and sections out and go in there. You know what? We could rebuild that cardboard, like, crappy shuttle and make it, like, 10 times better, if not 100 times better. Make it look really, really cool. And yeah, so Chimera update on the set. I'll have to paint these. They have to dry first. We have a fully realized Flyer from the original OG On Location 2 of the Silly Trek series. And an actual realized physical model of the ship. Without the sails, because that never made sense that it had sails. So it's a Starbug kind of thing, what Red Dwarf kind of thing, crossed with a little bit of a Daedalus. That's kind of what it looks like. These others look kind of like similar to, I think, the Oberth class, and so not the Oberth, but yeah, a little bit of Oberth, but a little bit of Miranda. But yeah, they're meant to be early 25th century ships in the story. So yeah. That is so cool. That is so cool. That is so cool. Those are alternate universe versions of the other ships. So there's an alternate universe mirror story, apparently. Or something like a mirror story. So there's going to be that too. But yes. And all of the TMS people, all of them will be in the 2-part one. Oh, yeah. All of them will be in the 2-part one. Oh, I don't know how we're going to do that with action figures, but we'll see. The shuttle is just pretty neat. Well, when it's painted up, it'll be neat because the walls come off. Yeah, the walls slip out, and then you can film inside it from any angle. And yeah, you can't actually go inside the guy and come out the other side in the cockpit. We're not going to do cockpit shots. It doesn't from that angle anyway. So yeah. Now what they did on Deep Space Nine is they built they redesigned the shuttlecraft things to make the runabout. The shuttlecraft from Star Trek V is what they did. So why it wasn't in Part 6? Because they used it, yeah, to make the runabout. But yeah, so heavily modified. They built a model, a complete new mock-up, pretty much. Anyway, so yeah, we have models. It's cool. So yeah, Chimera update. Okay. Model making, day 2 of model making. There's some models. There's a pirate ship and another ship there. I think that's the Montana. There's some other ships in there. The ship, we got 3 more ships. But there's the space truck shuttlecraft thing. It is now finished. Needs to be, well, it's now painted. It's wet. It's kind of wet, so I don't want to open it. All over it, but there it is. See, what happened is, I was like, you know what? The people that originally, the original designer of the shuttle thing is still around. The cardboard one. So like, yeah. So this morning I was like, hey, I rebuilt the shuttlecraft. Well, I tried to, and yeah, well, help me with it. Without pay, of course. Yeah. So, because I rebuilt the shuttle. I said, oh yeah. You need to fasten the Yeah, I'll do it. You need to get you still have a drill saw and all that. Yeah. So, originally we started adding flashing underneath and all that. I think I can take this off and look inside. So the action figures, the original thing was too short, and they couldn't sit in it, and now they can. So yeah, it was the nose was too short and too snubbed, like it didn't have a nose. So we got these pieces from, spent another $40 at the dollar store to get 2 more ships. We needed a Dominion ship and we needed a pirate ship, and also the Spartan, and of course the shuttlecraft here, the front nose of the shuttlecraft. You don't see the side, so when you want to show film inside on one side or the other, you take one of these out. They come out. Take one out, and then you've just filmed the side of the crewman in the shuttlecraft on either side. And yeah, some kind of heads-up display. That is really cool. Just the shuttle, very similar to the Starcracker shuttle. Yeah, an actual realized physical model. You pull the top off. All the pieces come off. The top comes off. You can go inside and It's a little scuffed, but you're gonna paint it. This is just the bottom coat, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, so you can touch it up, but you know, I don't want to get any more paint all over everything. But yeah, there's the shuttle. There's the spaceship shuttle for the crew. Because there's a couple of shuttle scenes, so why not build one? And this is a very important piece at the top here. It's simply a piece of cut wood, and it is the, the ceiling. So we have, yeah. Not only did we do that, we have like the door back here, which has flopped in, but yeah, it's not as bad as it looks. It really isn't. Hold on. Little latch door is supposed to go down. I suppose you could put a hinge on it, but don't. It's going like that. Yeah. So, door on the side. That's cool. There's the space truck from the future. It probably really wouldn't be able to enter an atmosphere, but we're presuming that in the future they have some sort of a Star Trek future. They have some sort of anti-gravity impellers or something, so it isn't really flying so much as floating. It's probably what's going on, because a lot of the spaceships in Star Trek are wouldn't actually be aerodynamic at all. So presumably this thing is like more like a missile. When it goes through the atmosphere, it is like, and they just land. Even the classic. I like how it looks like a throwback to the classic shuttlecraft, but also takes cues from the newer ones, the on some Strange New Worlds, and some of the other ones, and yeah, and work bee elements as well. It's really cool. Yeah, that's. So all these pieces come apart. These all slide out. These are in here like this, and they hook up to these pieces. So you have like yeah, this is. You have like comes off. You have like those pod things. You immediately switched them around and said, "No, put them in this way." It said. It's like, oh, okay. It was like, yeah. You want to build a floor underneath, so you want to build. So underneath you have a. There's a floor under here that built extra paneling. I don't know if you can see it, but yes, an extra raised it off the ground slightly, make it look less for the impellers. Yeah. Of course, you got to paint it after that. This isn't the natural color. This is the base coat. That's what it's done. So yeah. So the person that built the original shuttle was like, I could do that. A saw, little bitty saw, little miter saw. Sure, a Dremel, yeah. Not going to use the Dremel. Didn't need it. But yeah, some of the ships are a little funky, but interesting. So we have had some issues, QA issues with some of them, but we fixed that. The bug ship mainly. The flyer did not originally have wings. And you saw like, oh, the flyer, if you're going to do the flyer, it's got to have wings. Yeah, so let's put wings on it. You do that, you got to have wings on it. The original had wings on it. So. It has wings. If it doesn't have wings, it's not the flyer. Even though it probably wouldn't use those for anything. Just decoration. Yeah, so here's a... This is not the shuttle as the smaller unit. This is a space vessel. I just built this out of the scraps that were left over. And I think with this one, this should be the ship that encounters them in the pilot. This should be the sort of the junk ship that Wesley's... alternate Wesley, Borg Wesley, is commanding. Because it kind of looks like Borg cubes were stuck together. So it should be a real clue that, oh, shoot, it's a... yeah. Yeah. Real quickie here. Real quick on the set. Yeah. I'm silhouetted in the dark. Chimera shipbuilding stuff going on. Yeah, so cool. yeah, it was just a Kal Kat, obviously. Yeah, I wasn't hiring anybody to do anything during the SAG-AFTRA strike. I wasn't doing that. The talk shows stopped doing that. When they realized, oh, bad PR, we're not going to do that. Yeah. So yeah, the building, the model was more of a brainstorm this morning, and we're like, oh yeah, I'll just redesign it like the ship and make it like, like a puzzle kind of thing, like even more so in the front, so it's more like put it in there. Just happened to have these two pieces that were already cut that were perfect. Yeah. So yeah, it looks good. For a scene that's probably in the Chimera sequels series spinoff, for two shuttle scenes that I don't think are very long. They spent a lot of time rebuilding that ship. It's beautiful though. It's awesome. And yeah, I figure 25th century, early 25th century nacelles, they're just smaller. Yeah, they don't need much power to get off the planet. But yeah. So yeah, so that was in the shuttlecraft, and yeah, and the models. What you do is your first coat has to be a dark color, so that when you put on the robin's egg blue or the other, or the gray variant on the hull, it's usually robin's egg blue for Star Trek. Sometimes it's silver blue for the newer ones. I like that one over there. The silver blue, a little darker blue. It's gonna be robin's egg though, probably. But yeah, when you do that, you have to base coat has to be darker so that it gives it depth. You're dealing with wood figures, and if it isn't depth, you wouldn't do that normally with everything though. If you had like a wooden ship model, like a pirate ship or something, you wouldn't do it that way. You would just put it on clear coat afterward. But we're not doing a pirate ship, so not a real one. A toy pirate ship. Yeah. Yeah. The end. The SDF-3 is still sitting here, and so is the other the bio ship. You can certainly use those models somewhere in the background. Kind of fun. Oh, wait a minute, that's the ship from, yeah. Well, they might not even know, because I bet a lot of the fans of the Chimera channel, which doesn't have as many followers but has a lot more views. It has a lot of views. Don't realize the reviews channel and channel 2, the one that does all the fan films, including the Robotech one, the same people. They probably don't realize it's the same people. So it isn't like there's a bunch of other everywhere. I mentioned a lot of different names and things in the credits, and there's comments and stuff. They're like, okay, well, how did you do this without paying anybody? No, it's all just Kal Kat doing different voices. It literally, that's what it is. There are no other cast members in the Robotech thing. There literally weren't any other people. There was like, on occasion, Mark's card showed up. I did a line. That's it. Same thing with all Transformers Mush and the other one. Same thing with all of Chimera. So I can get away with putting myself in the story, because nobody's going to say, hey, wait a minute. Even though the writer's strike will eventually end. And yes, and we're not in the Writers Guild, so yeah. We're not scabbing though. No, we're not, because we're not getting paid. This is all volunteering myself to do my own fan films. I don't think that counts as scabbing, because you're technically not putting it up for profit of any kind. It's going up online as free. So yeah, it's not. It really isn't. It would only be that if you were like, yeah, getting paid something. Yeah. It's not on the air, it's on YouTube. It's like, yeah. Which is one way those talk shows could do their talk shows if they wanted to. They could just have, Drew Barrymore could have a live blog and just have a live blog with no writers and just talk about stuff. But I bet people would be bored after a while. They'd be like, well, it's the girl from E.T. from the 80s. and other movies that she did. But yeah, after a while it would probably get boring. You kind of have to have writers there. You kind of have to have somebody in the room to help your talk show. You kind of have to, because otherwise, it's talking pointless. But yes, but that's another. That was the last. Yeah, that was canceled. So, putting the model together, putting a shuttle model together, getting it done, and painting everything up. There's a Spartan in there too. We built a Spartan / Bental / ship. This Spartan ship wouldn't really be named after the building. That wouldn't make sense. It's Spartan. So the Spartan daily ship, not the daily ship. Yeah, and the flyer ship. It's commanded by Nichols. Not Nichols. Not, spelled differently. Yeah. Clearly supposed to be the same guy. Which was, the flyer. But you won't know that. Also, the thing about the sets is you won't know that either. So do whatever you want with the sets, because it's an interpretation of events and in the Robotech thing. And if only Kal Kat and Mark Scars would know, and when we go out and do this, only we would know. So yeah. But yeah, we'll do something with photo stills or something from the. Yeah, I think there's a way to do that. I'm pretty sure there's a way to do that. Yeah, take a picture of the stills. Yeah, don't just film the TV, filming like Pine Hill or something, or Evergreen or whatever. That'll look crap. That'll look awful. Don't do that. Don't need to drive over there either. I think Google Maps lets you do a still shot from here without going anywhere. You can do a still shot, save the still shot of a place you want to go to put in the story that looks cool. Of course, it probably would throw it off anyway, because it's like, wait, what's that matte painting doesn't match at all. So Starship Chimera ships update. We have to get a thing for this one. The label didn't come on correctly, and we're out of printer ink. But here are the ships. Just a quick scan of the 7 Starfleet ships, and I think a pirate ship and 3 alien ships. Alien ships, yeah. A quick overview of what's going on. Those are names. Spartan. So 2 ships named for colleges. So academy ships, basically the flyer and the other ones. And then in another kind of an academy, you have Marshall Sportiest Academy, Swan type ship. So Lisa Sanzang. So ships, various episodes that appear. The Dominion ships are over here. They're of course wouldn't put their names on them. So this is a rebuild of one that broke into an alien ship. So here's ships, and it's a little dark out here, and it's going to be hard to see, but let's go and see the action figures. The action figures for this season here. Now that the strike is nearly ended, they're going to start the gamer strike and screw the whole thing up. Here are the crew and the Cillians, and all of them have this theme shit going on. It's very dark in here. You can't actually see them very well. Actually, they're even remotely dry. They probably aren't, though. So, yeah. I don't want to just bring them in and have them... it's horrible stuff. So, yeah. Here's... poster painted action figures. Yeah, this color is very similar to what we were going to do with Chimera. Actually, there was several Chimera filmed back in the day, and They were going to be black with very little highlights, and we're doing this one. We ended up making them more colorful, but the other ones. But this is sort of the final chapter, Picard season 3 spoof, kind of, sort of, kind of. It isn't really, but yeah, just done at the same time. So I'm going to let the figures dry out in the garage. The last week and a half we've been building ships, models replacement in the story. We're not WGA, so that's all right if we film. But even if we were, yeah, it's not for profit, so it's doing it for fun. So it doesn't count. We're not making any AdSense. Yeah. So, yeah. So the ships design went well. The figures went well, and actually we're kind of doing a throwback to the 2006 version of Chimera. When you go back to that far, the Chimera movie now we're going on the fan films that take forever. The Chimera movie took forever, along with like the Starcrackers one did, about the same length of time. The Starcrackers one started in 1992 and was completed around 2005, and then we added a few things in 2011. With Chimera, it was 2006 script for the 30th anniversary of Star Trek, and 40th anniversary of Star Trek, 40th, and it took until the 53rd. Yeah, so it was like 13 years later. To actually produce that. And like Transformers Meet Robotech, we'd actually filmed about 40% of it. And like Starcrackers, it seems to be a pattern. and that footage was not usable, so we had to go over and shoot it again. And then a third of it was completed, and then we almost lost that footage, but thankfully we had a backup. A 720p backup of that first, what bounded to the first 2 hours, really, it turns out. And we were able to reassemble that from the footage. The last hour, the first 2 hours were completed by around 2012, 2013, but we did not finish Principal Photography until 2018, 2019, quite a bit later. So there was a computer malfunction that ate the 2015 footage, but thankfully we saved a copy, and Mom had a copy because I put it on her computer as well, because I worked on the laptop, and it's on the computer. It's kind of like how that Pixar thing saved the Pixar thing years ago. It's similar, yes. So yeah, she didn't know it was there, but I knew. I didn't. I forgot about it. Oh, our footage is saved. We have it on this other computer, on the hard drive. So let's print it out, put it out there. Yeah, so Starship Chimera came out in around September 8th of 2019, about the year before the pandemic. Since we've been doing other Chimera stuff, and I'll tell you about Chimera. So we're doing our Transformers Mush, all Transformers Mush fan films in 2019, 2020, 2021, lexicons in 2021, 2022, Star Trek Meets the Transformers. But during that, because there was plenty of downtime there, we also did Starship Locations and Starship Locations Strange World. I believe that was 2021. And then season 2, right afterward, like right into season 2, because we decided to do the Fallen Ones book. It was already online. It was already something we did with using footage from the Jason Colavito blog, of which Jason Colavito himself then said, "You don't need to put my name on your blog. You don't. Your movie. Don't do that. I'm not part of it. You can have all of it. Have it. Just say it's yours." So we're all okay. Yeah, we got feedback from the actual guy that you don't need to do that. You don't need a wide line on there. It's not mine. It's free for everyone to look at. It's free. So Well, kind of what he said is he didn't want a byline on the book on Amazon because he didn't co-author it. But I put a byline on the book on Amazon. So it wasn't really the film, it was the book on Amazon that he was talking about. But I thought to put his byline on there because I thought, I'm using your blog and your information from your friends on your blog, and I thought that would be a little disingenuous if I didn't. They put you in a byline in there and say, like, this is where I got it from. I'm reading the Vito's blog. He said, well, that's okay, but I didn't co-author it. That's fine. Based on a blog by this guy. All right. That's cool. Now that was straightened out. So, yeah, it wasn't the movie. It was the storybook. The storybook, there was enough buzz that let's make a movie. Let's do a movie version. The character of Viticola is based on him. Appears in the story. So he was kind of a consultant, but not directly, unofficially. But yes, The Fallen Ones was already based on something, so we didn't need to make any adaptation of it. Or it was an adaptation of something. So this season will be the same idea, adaptation of something. This season, but instead of it being all Transformers, much Robotech meets the Transformers, which we were doing a month ago. It'll be something new. It'll be Chimera. It'll be it'll be stuff from the Chimera stories that were being written at the beginning of that hideous writer's strike that's been going on for half a year. But as a non-SAG, non-AFTA writer, I was writing my own stuff and not for sale, so it's fine. It wasn't scabbing. But yeah, I had written a season of Destinations, and this one had been heavily inspired by elements of Picard Season 3, which was going on, as well as Steve Shives and his friend Jason reviewing it. A different Jason than the one from Target. Different guy. Similar, but different. Steve Shives is, I think, back Midwest or something. Or even Florida. I think he's Florida. Way, way in the East Coast. And there was inspiration from the Trek core experience. Most of that was written by AI, so that's why it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I ran it through the AI thing to do that. C'est la vie and Prometheus and them approved, but I didn't need to put a byline, so I didn't. Like that other story, so it's connected. This was going to be called Starship Locations Destinations. It's allegedly the final season of Starship Chimera and Starship Locations. We know it's about 8 episodes, and 2 are two-parters. They're all interconnected in some way. We also changed the story about the Fearful Symmetry and the Arbiter because we wanted to include them in this season. Our Star Trek fan stories are finally going to be done as a fan story. Where Mark's Cards and I encountered David Gerald at the convention thing. Yeah, he didn't want us to do Blood and Fire. We're not doing that one. It's already been done. But he didn't mind our little Star Trek thing. He'd seen the trailer for it. He thought it was funny. We bought the Peppermint Tribble to include the Tribble Bluegill character who's a good guy on the ship in the story. I recently scanned over the first episode of the 90-minute pilot, basically. It's hilarious. It's one of the funniest things I've ever written. Yay. Good. It's quite funny. The series is not serious like Picard Season 3. It is definitely a lower decks atmosphere kind of thing. And it definitely pays homage to Star Trek Prodigy as well. Because Gwendola from Star Trek Prodigy is on the bridge of the Chimera A in the story. She's a bridge crewman. So that's cool. Also, when we put the figures together, painted them, she was included in that Transformers meets Star Trek meets the Transformers story in the background. Didn't have any lines. Now she's got lines. The Gwendola. Also, a Tao will be appearing. Dal will be appearing somewhere. I think he's got some lines in the story somewhere, but not a main character. He's there, background. But yeah. Also, the idea that different action figures do different things is cool. Also, since then, Playmates has re-released some action figures. There's a Picard and Data and Riker. There's Kirk and Spock and Khan. There's Saru and why am I blanking on that character? Yes, because she's not very exciting. Saru and the girl from the commander from Michelle Burnham. Yeah, she's just. They should do Lower Decks ones. They have done Prodigy ones. I have the Prodigy action figures, but they're the kid versions, right? So maybe they'll do them. But the show was canceled, even though they've done a pilot and a trailer at least. I think they've done a trailer and a few episodes, so they haven't finished it. It's not finished. It's just a trailer. And they did the trailer earlier, the one with the shuttle and the ship and all that. We'll see. Maybe Netflix will pick it up. Who knows? Maybe Amazon TV will pick it up. And with the writer's strike ebbing a bit, it's possible they will be desperate over at CBS Paramount for material, and they'll say, all right, the show isn't really canceled. That's entirely likely, because we don't have any material, because nobody was writing anything, so your show would bring it back. We won't fire it. The writers. It'll probably suck, because they'll probably take everything out. And get cheaper writers to do it. But we'll see. Anyway, Chimera, which is not Prophet, will be appearing. This is sort of making of stuff. But our making of stuff on the Chimera channel is different. And we can certainly put together the making of stuff before the movie even comes out and release them. So yeah, we've been doing Starship Locations. We did. Well, it was the Chimera miniseries, the 3-part miniseries. They nodded the fans in 2019. It gave them the idea for the Picard show. Actually, when you look back at it, it's like, oh yeah, similar stuff going on in there. Yeah, give them the idea for the Picard show because they're thinking along the same lines we are, or ripping off us, ripping off. But yes, so it's good. Strange Worlds was taken off Strange New Worlds, not the Disney movie, but it could be the Disney movie too, because there were some trans and gay characters, which we've always included in stories, because why not? Because it's the future. No one cares whether they're whatever. There was a character like that on Trek Core back in the day. Claimed he was Mr. Picard. He was married to Picard. Picard doesn't have any male companion, but if anything, he's not really into anything, really. They had set him up with ladies on occasion, and he had no... Yeah, I mean, he wasn't gay. Yeah, just wasn't. But this other person was interested in that for some reason. Probably obsessed, but yes. And then there's other characters from Core and everything out there. There's one of our blogs was the Gemelt story. This character, this guy on Star Trek Beyond, who 2015, 2016, claimed he was pitching for Star Trek, which he wasn't. Had gotten most of the internet abuzz with this information because of Star Trek Beyond was being produced, and it just happened to coincide with his fan script story that he posted. It had nothing to do with it. It's just that the name was similar, and Paramount had given him a cease and desist, is what really happened, and told him, no, you can't call it this. We're going to call it this. Change your website. They changed it to Star Trek Uncharted, which makes it even more of a ripoff because it makes people confused, thinking it's Uncharted, the video game, very popular video game, which later became a movie. No, he had nothing to do with that. And our channel and the Trek Core were two of the few ones that were out there. It wasn't just us, it was Trek Core too. We're like, this guy's making this up. He's not pitching for Star Trek. Because all you have to do is go to the website, Star Trek website, and nobody is pitching for Star Trek in 2016. Nobody. And they weren't. And so, yeah, Gamelt's script was analyzed and panhandled by some of us, some of the others, and some Voyager people. And as well looked at it. People looked it over. One of our earlier channels published some of what the Voyager people said, even though I don't think we had permission to do that, so we took it down. But later it was put in the book, the Robotech meets the Transformers. Not that. Oh, the Star Trek Trek Core Experience. It's in that one. It's part of the Trek Core Experience novel. It includes all of the Melt story and current and updates and all that. Saying, oh, this guy really never pitched at all, but he thinks he did. He thinks he talked to the writing staff and the head writer and everybody and the producers, and they all loved it. Which, of course, they didn't, because he's making it up. But the Cillian realms, he did notice that. He did notice our stuff. He's like, well, if I can't pitch to Star Trek, because the rules say you can't, what about the fan film? What about this Chimera thing? What about this Cillian realms thing? I pitched my script to you. And we're like, oh, well, we analyzed the heck out of it. Or fan film. Sure. Can't pay you, though. Well, yeah, sure. We'll include one of your characters here in the story and make fun of them, if you don't mind that. So yeah, since we were the ones that figured it out. So his character appears in this season of a character of his appears, but it's not the first character that's ever appeared. Apparently, Mike McMahon was secretly one of the people who wrote about that script, and he's the producer and creator of Star Trek Lower Decks. So he said, well, I'm going to include your transhuman character as Rutherford, and I'm going to include as well your plucky Orion girl as well out in there. So yeah, Tandy and Rutherford are Gamelt characters. So he didn't pitch, but it looks like he did. He didn't pitch Lower Decks, but it looks like he did. Yeah, he didn't. It was more those Voyager writers that went over to him and went over to McMahon. Not us, the Voyager writers. Yeah, it was a fan script. It was never a... it was never a movie. It was never a fan film. It was a script. It was a screenplay, a really, really long one. Elements of which belonged and it became part of the Cillian Realms saga. So, as a joke, as a parody of itself, so it wasn't infringing on that person's copyright. Sweet. He didn't mind. The company's, oh, I don't mind. Yeah, you like my stuff. Yeah. Gave me a lot of good advice, about that story blog about script writing and stuff. But yes, the rejection letter story was incorrect. We had actually looked that up, and our Star Trek we were given rejection letters, yes, and one of them was stamped twice, yes. That just means they looked at it twice. That doesn't mean they were going to take it. They looked at it twice, and that was back during a writing contest in the 1990s. Where they did allow fans to write for Star Trek, because it was about 67 years after the first writer's strike, and they were looking for scabs, basically. So that's what they were doing. But yeah, they looked for cheap writers, not pay them. Which is why we're roundabout. Fearful Symmetry was one of ours, and as well as The Arbiter. Fearful Symmetry and Deep Space Nine would have aired before the episode The Ship in Deep Space Nine. And elements of the story ended up in the episode The Ship, which is awesome. Our friends flummoxed looking at that episode going, wait a minute, isn't that your story in there? A little bit? Yeah. The line from the female Vorta and her dialogue, and Sisko's dialogue, kind of similar, yeah. Real close. The Arbiter was also similar to some Voyager episodes, but nothing I can nail down. Anything with Tuvok arbitrating something, I guess you could say, well, okay. Yeah, that one, yeah. Not anything directly, even though it was looked at twice. Season 2 and Season 5. But both were sent back, which the Paramount wanted to send them back, which was something. You could have just kept them. The rejection letters that said, the show's over pretty much, and yeah, we decided not to. We decided to pass on your script. Keep writing and such. Didn't really say you had a good grasp of the characters. We were wrong about that. It did not say that. It said good job writing. It was a form letter, and it said, okay, you understand Star Trek, something to that effect. Not characters, but Star Trek, and we did understand the characters. Oh, that's cool. It was the right format. It was bad timing. That was in there. They said the Voyager one did mention that the timing was bad for submission. Yeah, there was also like an end note that disappeared that said something to the effect of, if you had an agent at the time, we would have actually, and you'd been in the WGA, we actually would have had you come in. but no. Yeah, but that was back when they allowed that. They don't. They in 2016 they put up rules that they were too strict about fan films. They've since lit them up a little bit. The fan films. It wasn't us doing it that caused it to become strict or less strict. It was that the people doing the current Star Trek, which started in 2017, lifted the rules up a little bit. Still, you cannot submit anything to Star Trek. If you're not famous, forget it. Throw it away. So, yeah, I can't either. I couldn't submit to Star Trek. They would be all, no, you're not going to, no. We don't know who you are. But yeah, we just have a habit of using your stuff, which is weird. So yes, the Strange New Worlds this season was different. There was parts of it were dark, parts of it were light. Picard season 3 was dark all the way through. For some reason, they wanted it to be literally dark. You can light your characters. It's fine. Light them. Light the bridge so they can see what they're doing. That's odd. Yeah. They lit it like the Hollister store at the mall. But yeah, so we're going to do more of these. More Chimera, and this is basically a rundown of that history instead of the Robotech one, which was fun doing that. And now we're gonna do this. At least the pilot. Yeah, so we'll see, and it's about the same length if you add it all up as the Robotech one was, which was 9 hours of. Altogether, the three miniseries, or 3 hours each, 9 hours. This is about 9 hours again. Also on the train, the train ride up to Roseville, we wrote a very, very preliminary script treatment of a possible series finale movie. Well, maybe we'll see of that series. I don't know whether there's going to be a movie. It kind of ends. There's an ending of this. It doesn't need to go on, but if it did, yeah, you'd have to. There are certain things you'd have to do, and do them. Certain nods to DS9 and Voyager, that would be fun. Stuff that isn't addressed in this story at all, but should be, Major Kira on the holodeck or something, fighting Kai Wynn, because he should, stuff like that. Because she should have the opportunity to do that. Yeah. Kirk receiving 1 million palimony suits, stuff like that. All these alien women I had sex with. Amazing. It's a good thing my character died years ago, in 2371. And there's no way that he had to pay up all that alimony. Then a crane. But yeah, trying to explain how Jack Crusher 2 could even exist in the 22 years since the other story. If he's 22, yeah, maybe, but the actor isn't. Also, Lower Decks wise, I think we've been over this before, but the characters the actors playing the characters on Lower Decks are playing younger people. They're not that age. So there was a couple of websites that were going on about, well, the actress who plays Mariner is in her 30s, so that means the character is. So why are they all in their 30s and they're cadets on a ship? And basing it on the actress who's in her 30s. To which the actress has said, convention stuff like that, I'm playing someone 10 years younger than me. Playing somebody 23 or 24. So yeah, she's playing somebody younger. She's playing someone in their 20s. As well as Wilmer is playing somebody. The guy playing Wilmer is playing somebody younger. Like Noel is playing somebody younger. They're all playing somebody younger. So on Lower Deck. So yeah, if you're trying to add up the ages with the actors, it doesn't work. Because, yeah, Mariner is now probably 28. Or 29, yeah, roughly. So, the character of America. 10D is probably now 26, 27, something like that. Boimler is a little younger. He's 27. And yeah, so Rutherford is a little older, 28. So, yeah. The captain is older, though. They were trying to equate that story to the Wolf 359. Now she could be at Wolf 359. Well, she wasn't. She would have been at the Cube battle in 2373, which would have been later. But yeah, not the Wolf 359. The movie, the Star Trek, the movie, she would have been at that. Not the Battle of Wolf 359. Wrong battle. She would have been too young. If she was at Wolf 359, she was 9 years old, and she couldn't possibly have been fighting anybody. If she was on the Enterprise D as a kid, then maybe she would have been traumatized by that. Probably not wanted to join Starfleet at that point. So that, yeah, doesn't add up at all. Unless it's a different battle. Unless it's the Cube battle later on. If she was in the Dominion War in 2375, okay, maybe. But probably not. Because she would have been a cadet. Barely a cadet. So yeah, if she's like 23 or 24 when Lower Deck starts in 2380, yeah, she would have been 9 in 2367 when born. Yeah, so doesn't work. It really doesn't work. Yeah, yeah, the older ones would have been, the Freeman would have been old enough to be there, and Ben and Harriman, those guys, they would have been old. Hanson would have been old enough. Ransom would have been old enough. But yeah, I don't think they were. I don't think you can equate them to Shaw from Star Trek in 2401 when Shaw shows up. And they've also messed that up too because the way that Picard's show happened and the way they structured that show, starting off in, I think I've said this before, yeah, when Star Trek Picard started, it was supposed to be 2399 because it was literally supposed to be 20 years after Nemesis, which is in 2379. So Picard show should have technically started in 2022 in order to line up with the other show in 2002 when Star Trek Nemesis came out. So the timeline, the years, don't line up at all. Yeah, so 2022. So all they had to say back when Picard Season 1 started in 2019 is they should have said, all right, it's because they got the year mixed up with the start date. 2000, yeah, didn't come out in 1999, it came out in 2002. So it's not the Cillian date, it's they got it mixed up with the Cillian date. And the Cillian date was wrong. So it threw everything off because when Star Trek Strange Worlds starts, the star dates on that seem to be higher than they should be. They seem to be coinciding with 2401, 2402. Now this season, 2404, a little bit after. Unless they're Cillians, and all of Star Trek Picard has been in the Cillian universe, and we were just seeing all alternate timeline where it would line up, And it makes Picard's son impossible. It couldn't have been more. Because Picard season 2 was apparently taking place in 2400, and Picard season 3 in 2401 before Federation Day. And that means that Star Trek Chimera took place in 2019, which would have lined up with, which is where they screwed it up, because Starship Chimera was set in 2388, but it was created from a script in 2006. So not. It was 9 years after Nemesis, basically. So, in that story, because it was an earlier story, it was set earlier in the timeline. It was an event that happened earlier, 16 years before Strange World. So in order for anything to line up, it doesn't. But the star dates line up with 2401. So that means that when they were doing Picard season 3, they had to say, okay, it's 2401 because Kal Kat's fan film takes place in the same time period, and so we want to line up with Kal Kat's fan film. Well, it seems like that. I said, okay, that means that all of Star Trek Picard from seasons 1, 2, and 3 all took place before the events of Starship Locations by 6 months or so. Or right in the middle, kind of. Some of it before, some of it after season 3 of Picard. So some of Chimera, some of Starship Locations Strange Worlds takes place because Federation Day is in April. So some of it took place before, some of it took place after, during season 3 of Picard. So, and we produced that in 2020, 2021. So it doesn't really line up because we wanted to line it up with Picard, and they screwed up, and everybody screwed up. The whole timeline's all screwed up. And when is Jack Crusher born? Doesn't make sense. That actor is also 35. He's quite a bit older than he should be. What they should have said was, in Picard season 4, they should have said, all right, he was actually born during the Next Generation, but before, between Nemesis and the Insurrection and Nemesis, really, somewhere back there. Maybe after the Borg battle. Maybe he was born. And she just never told anybody. Or they knew, they just never mentioned it. They never had an opportunity to mention Picard had a son. Around 1996 or 2373. So they didn't do that. But they should have done something like that. Yeah. And it would have made sense. Yeah, so that's some Picard backstory. That's some backstories to where this story takes place. It'll be 2404 this season in the story, even though it lines up better with, it lines up better with the other one, but it has to be 2404 because of where the star dates line up in this one. The 8000 series 81000 something, as opposed to 2402 is 7800 and something. 78000 star date. So they screwed up. They had said, if they just had said, lined up the year correctly with the star date, they wouldn't have had a problem with Picard season 1. They could have said, all right, it's supposed to be back on Earth. It's supposed to be, if it's 2019, then your story takes place in 2396 at that point, roughly 2396, 97. A little earlier than the other stuff. Kind of would have made more sense, actually. And then have season 2 be 3 years later or something. Season 3 be 3 years later. They didn't do that. Also, what happened to Gerardi Borg? Where'd she go? She's going to guard the gate. Nothing happened. Yeah. Menendez was like, don't care about that. Somehow, the other Borg queen was in the Jupiter in the clouds. How did she maintain a ship in crushing gravity like that? It's weird. I should have said a nebula or something. Oh well. It's not the only thing screwy about that. But, yeah. This is a silly track set. Well, there'll be a lot of Cillians. There'll be Marshall Sportius. There's a two-parter for that one. That's another thing that's in the universe from the books. The Marshall Sportius stuff. We want to explore the 2015, 2016 era. Well, I guess the newer ones, 2017, 2018 era of in flashback. Them discussing that period and of the post bullshido Marshall Sportius when the alleged Fleets took over the airwaves, yeah. Which was no, it'll make sense in the story because, like Chives and his friend talked about and stuff, you have to make a good sci-fi story and then make a sci-fi story out of Star Trek out of it. So it's a good sci-fi story. They go to this planet and things are not what they should be, and they got to go down there and figure it out. Apparently somebody took over. It's a classic idea of man versus man, or man versus demigod. Classic Star Trek idea. Oh, somebody's breaking the prime directive on this planet. They've taken over. We've got to go down there and figure out what they're up to. Yeah, it's classic Trek. We also visit the Roman planet again. We get to visit that. We get to visit Miri's planet in the pilot. We get to go there, which is in the Silly Trek universe. Is one of the planets the Cillians went to, and it is also the planet of Evergreen and State, and it's the planet of Evergreen and State. It's not the planet of Endover, is it? No, it's the Semester's planet. Semester's planet. It's the Semester's planet. Endover should be far out. The far out planet. Endover's far out. It's the furthest one out. That's the PL planet. Picard LaForge planet. Because in season 1 of Next Generation, LaForge was acting really, really gay. And it was the 80s. So we were like, yeah, what if he has a planet of people that have visors and stuff? And they're really, really gay. It's like, big ass spider. It's all. I'm gonna be bed layer or something. Bastard. Anyway, so yeah. They go to the. They also go to the Mob Planet. Yeah. Based on a premise by Quentin Tarantino. He submitted a Star Trek idea because he's famous, because they know who he is, Quentin Tarantino. Yeah. He didn't submit to us, but we took his idea, his premise, and said, well, I can work with the premise. Okay, let's go to the Mob Planet, and let's have him do a parody of his movies on the planet. They go to the planet, parody of his movies in the Star Trek vein. So it's actually a Star Trek story. They've adapted some of his movies, and they're talking about them in the story. Yeah, the Prime Directive got broken again by a Cillian that's down there with adapted to movies called the Swearing Man. Shows up. Now with the Miri planet, you have because Miri is short for Miriam. You have a TMS, Marshall Sportius lady, goes down there, and there's some other ones down there, but it's also Evergreen, and it's also Khaki, and Wolfie is sort of not really a TMS, but she's kind of fudging it and saying she was, even though she's an amalgamation of a TMS person and someone else. She's not Addison Kane from Lindsay Ellis. She acted like that too. She acted in the same vein as this other author person, but it's not her. It's somebody else. Somebody else that was not famous. That thought she was famous. There's a theme here going on, where yet these other people show up who wanted to be famous and weren't at the college, and they met the early Kal Kat and Mark's Cards, and they thought they could become more famous by being part of the role-playing game Silly Trek back then, Starship Locations, And they didn't end up becoming famous, but they ended up being in the journals and all that, and the journals are still around. So, kind of in their own way, they did become a little famous. Being kind of spoofed, made fun of. But no, their names have been changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. And so we have these characters down on the planet that have messed with the Prime Directive. The space plague on the planet. There's a space plague. It's like COVID kind of. They have to go down to the planet. Kidnapped crewmen and stuff. And going to the academy is the overall theme. They're trying to get to the academy for 8 episodes. Across a whole year, they're trying to get to the academy. Then we have the Emmett Till returns, the Deep Space Nine returns. We have a nod to that with the Fearful Symmetry one. Go back to Deep Space Nine, do that. We do a faux Voyager one, but it's not on the Voyager. It's on the Chimera. Where they do where we get Mr. Tuvok showing up. So in that one, and he arbitrates something. I wanted to do that one. People always wanted to do that one. That's kind of, there's a bunch of stories. I probably missed 1 or 2 in there. There's, they got a flow die where the TMS people have altered flow dies. It's like a mirror universe, but it's not exactly the mirror universe. It's sort of its own thing, where they get their way. And then there's a Cillian Earth one where they go to Pine Hill. They go back to the origins of Cillian space. They visit Pine Hill. Now, it doesn't have to look exactly like OG thing unless you use Google Earth to go to the Google Earth style and show the outside as a gag. You could certainly do that. I did take pictures of it years ago, but you could probably use the pictures. But I probably won't do that. I'll probably just use Google Earth because it's funny. And it looks grainy. Yeah. And what that was that in Silly Track, the OG Silly Track, 40 years ago, or more, when we did that, the idea was that these kids were so brilliant they'd met. That they called in the future the Star Trek people went back in time to meet us, which is funny. And not just that Kirk's era met us and Picard's era met us because, well, Next Generation and the original show were at the same time, so they meet us. And Q shows up, of course, because he's involved in the whole meeting thing. And he goes, well, Picard doesn't like children. This is a school full of high school children. I'm going to have fun with that. What about if I give him Q powers? Like I tried on Riker. I give him to teenagers. And that's kind of the teen spirit thing, the whole thing, this season 2 is give other teenagers Q powers. Well, if you gave Q powers to teenagers, they would take them. And they would do dreadful things. But funny things, but dreadful things. They can simply wish away their bully enemies. They can simply, decide, having God tier level powers, they can do whatever they want. They could banish other people to other universes and stuff. It'd be insane. But yeah, so of course they have to go to the school at the end to figure out where it all started. They have to. And it doesn't need to necessarily look like it, because this is an interpretation of what it looked like. So it doesn't need to look exactly like it. It can be its own thing. Yeah, weirder and more trippy the better. but yeah, and originally in first couple seasons of Next Generation, when it was on, Mark Scards did not realize that it wasn't set in the era of Kirk and crew. It was set 78 years later. Thus, the time warps and everything is set years later. 2364 for Next Generation's first season, but way back when, in 1987 for the gear, that season. And in Kirk's time, 2387 or so, roughly. So that's how all stardates got screwed up. And they know, so over there at Picard show, they knew. They just added the years wrong. They got 2019 mixed up with 2002. They should have just done the math and figured, oh, no, that doesn't work. Oh, okay, 2019 to 23, 78 years. Oh, 20 through 96. Shit. But yes. So that's funny. We yeah. So rambling on, but why not? It's about Star Trek. Yeah. So there's going to be some fun episodes. I think I've already read off all of those, but before. But it's not gonna. I thought everybody's episode. That's going to be 8 more hours. It's because what if there's only one set of 2 hours? So I don't want to don't want to read them all, and we'll just see. We'll see how far it goes. But if we just we'll take it one day at a time. Yeah, just in case. So yeah, the pilot is hilarious. The silly thing is hilarious. It makes sense if the silly thing is bizarre. So he had to make sense in a Star Trek setting. So it's kind of interesting, like rewriting the story to make them fit in a Star Trek setting, and have them. Okay, they're a silly crew, but they're sort of Star Trek, so they're not completely baffled and out of sync with what they're seeing. They're just different than what they're seeing. They're going and they're like, oh, we're going to be here. We're going to find this planet, and we're going to find these aliens or whatever. Yeah, and it's first contact with these places for them. So yeah, so they go to. They've never been to the Roman planet or whatever. We also have a Rumbly appearance in the. I think is it the Roman one that she visits? No, the Mobster planet. She lands on the Mobster planet, and she and Holy Cat have a thing. But yeah, she would approve. It'd be funny. Even though she'd be all, wait, I don't really think I'd be into Holy Cat. I think I'd be into the other chick. But that's maybe she's either way. Oh my, Rumbly. Or Rombly is her name. Rumbly? Loosely based on somebody. But so is Tendi. And so is Captain Talisman, who appears. But yes, so for now, yeah. And action figures that are gonna look interesting. And yeah, as soon as everybody's dried and everybody's set up, we'll do some. I don't think we necessarily want to rush ahead and say, okay, we're going to do all the bridge stuff first, like we did with the Robotech. There was very little bridge stuff in the Robotech. There's quite a lot of bridge stuff in the pilot, so I think we're just going to have to reset up the bridge each time. Because, yeah, there's a bridge. Not so much for the other episodes, but that. It would be awkward to keep moving it around. Strange. But yeah, it could be a little different because it's a few years later. It's a few years after the Borg child attack thing, or the Borg used the device and the young people to attack the ship, like the Zeldanian Nintendosis in the Cillian saga. Yeah, kind of like that. That's why I thought it was going to be bluegills, because they kept throwing the thing going. We're going to do the bluegill thing. They didn't. They figured, all right, we'd have to pay homage to that, explain that. No, it's a changeling. Dominion came back because I liked that Picard season 2 said, yeah, why would the Dominion just surrender because Odo touched her heart? I like that they retconned that. They said, well, she didn't really surrender. Like, she was still evil. She was still going to be evil. She was going to be more sneaky about it. And then the other lady shows up, and she was a Cillian that was a shapeshifter. She was basically the female Vorta from Central Cemetery, so yeah. And it was Amanda Plummer, which is awesome. My ship is called the Shrek. Even though I shouldn't know what that is. How do I know what that is? Oh, yes, I learned it from my master from Earth who had captured me. Why would she tell me about that? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, well. Anyway, is Soong Android dead or whatever. There was some stuff that didn't make sense, but they've been over that before, so we don't need to go there. Most of the cast of Starship Chimera returns. Almost all of them return in some form or another in the movie, and this is a shot of the rebuilt bridge set. And yeah, it wasn't taken down; it was put away. So we reassembled the bridge set. Here's several crewmen on the bridge set, all painted, and some of them still need to be touched up. But yes, here is our 47th anniversary cast. Star Trek Chimera, Starship Locations, Star Trek Locations. The cast all lined up. We've got like got some gags in there. So the robots over there, the two spacesuit ones are Peanut Hamper and the Zero, done up as a humanoid. And there's of course there's our Where's Waldo character at center here. The Gwendla. There's Gwendla. Yeah, added to the cast. So we have some Prodigy people in there. This is a combination of the crew of this ship, the Chimera A, and the Emmett Tell. So we got some of the Emmett Tell in there as well. So they're kind of together. And Captain Cito Jaxa, who has decided to walk on the set. Visit. Here's the teenagers at the front. There's a Vita Cola. You know. There's some Lower Decks. There's it's Uhura, but they didn't make a figure of the Lower Decks one, so there is a Captain Mariner, who is not modeled after the Libyan, but after McMahon's sister. Actually, but I think he was also a fan. So here we have Tendi in the back. Captain Nog in the back. Dax in the very, very back. Got a bunch of fun guys here. There is, Mark's cards. Hiding in the back is O'Brien. And standing on the captain's chair is me. Because I am the Mozart of time and space. Yeah. So I'm the Mozart of time and space. I'm the warp sailor, the Wesian's commander guy. Of course, and that's not Shadow Dancer. That's Cyrano. So we have that's well, now we have 3 RLM Red Letter Media people. We've got Thad, who was Jay Banham. There is Thad. That's who that was. So he actually was in the season 1, just as somebody else. Yeah. So, but there's Rich's character, Neelix, and Mike's in the back as Lore, of course, respectively. Wesley and some other Wesleys. We got like the Paris twins, Paris and Locarno, Esri Dax Locarno, which makes a hell of a lot more sense than what they wanted to do with that Deep Space Nine spin-off 8th season. This is the correct one. This is the continuing the saga of Next Generation. They're done up a little bit in the uniforms of Picard from the current season last year, and so I guess the beginning of this year technically. So they it was this year, to make them because it's 2404. It's 3 years after that story. We've been over the Stardate issues. Yes, they're on their way to the Academy. Will they ever get there? We'll find out. There's a lot of repeats of other people. Yeah, it's evident. Keep zeroing in on Gwendolyn. Yes. And there's Jeremy Astor. Well, it's actually young Picard, I think. Jeremy Astor, and not young. Right? Yeah. It's not Jack Crusher. Young Picard. Then there's Seska. Cito Jackson as Seska. It's a Seska figure. Because it didn't make sense that Cedar Jackson was allegedly killed off screen on the shuttlecraft in that episode of Next Generation. Made more sense that the Cardassians captured her, and years later she was in prison with Nick Locarno, and then Nick Locarno and she and Crass and Mahoney, who were young back then, teenagers, they were all rescued from the Cardassian labor camp, and there's Mahoney. And they were rescued. So she was actually captured, which makes a heck of a lot more sense. They just couldn't find her. And that became an issue in the Chimera pilot in 2019. She was found. They were rescued by the Exeter in the Battle of Beta Z in the Dominion War. So they're confusing that with Mariner's backstory, and they're not connected. Mariner might have been there, but the Battle of Beta Z, but I don't know. It's not canon yet. So yeah, the Exeter, saving the Locarno saving the Exeter and having been in jail for 5 years because the Cardassians captured him, made him redeemed, and then he eventually met Ezri Dax. They got married, and 16 years later, in the pilot, they had a kid, Tam. They did gender fluid, Tam, and all Trill are technically gender fluid if they have a symbiote. Technically. Yes, so, yeah. and so we have, Tam. So, yeah, so, so, yeah, they were rescued and redeemed. And, yep, that's very cool. Yep. Going over the crew here. And, yeah, that's, Troy and Riker, the background. They're in the pilot. They will be in the pilot. Also, missing one here. It's Dr. Ayer, who has retired. There he is. Dr. Ayer will be appearing at some point. So he's back. Yay, Dr. Ayer. So he's not dead. He retired and went on a mission. And there's Maj Bolo, who has been missing. He hasn't been missing, but we just didn't use him. He's there too. Actually, if keen eyesight would have caught him on the Starship Titan A in the the Chimera series 2 years ago, he was there in the background. He was on the bridge of Riker's ship, Titan A, which then was featured in Star Trek Picard. That was the same ship. This is just okay. Yeah, use that one. Yeah, weird coincidence. The Shangri-La class, another one. Oh, here we have, there's some splotches of paint on some of them. Like, it looks like Worf here, or Alexander, has been in battle, and he has taken a wound to the head. What happened to him? Anyway, that's, so... Anyway, so, yeah, there they are. There they are. Maybe he just has a really bad rash or something. I have Klingon herpes. There's a rash on my face. Ew, the doctor can't cure it for some reason. He's too busy pining for the robot. Jeremy Astor, who'd be in his 40s. They'd all be, that's Jeremy Astor, who is technically Worf's brother, so there you go. No, Worf's brother and uncle, and is a spoof of the uncle brother that I have as well. Chavez is a spoof of that guy, which you would appreciate. Find it funny. Uncle brother. Ew, I have an uncle who's older. Say, yeah, it's confusing. Ew. He should be my uncle, yeah, and he's the brother. That's just weird. Anyway, should be nephew, technically, but nope. But yes, that's the gag there, too. And so we have, the robots and stuff. Everybody looking like clones. And notice that it's well lit on the set here. It's not dark. Like in the Picard show, it'd be all dark and they'd turn all the lights off. It'd be like Anyway, so that's a little background of the cast here. That's cool. Right on. Awesome. Dude, can hardly wait. It's exciting. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. So there was no filming tonight. We got late, so yeah. So there's no filming tonight. We're doing other things. Compiling some videos, Robotech Transformers things. And yeah, so tomorrow we start filming on the show here. Close it down, and the Chimera channel does the making ofs different. On the Chimera channel, we can post making ofs long before the movie because they don't reveal anything. They just show some of the characters what they're doing. So we put up the making of video. I'll put that up, and I'll look over the scripts for all the bridge scenes. The pilot has about half bridge scenes and half story, so it's half bottle show, the ship, a little bit over half bottle show, and half planet show, dealing with the planet Miriam or Miri. It's cool. Yeah. The next one is Fearful Symmetry, based on the other script. That one is a bottle show again. It has the most bridge scenes of any of them. It's a bottle show on a bridge. Yeah, it's a bottle show. A bottle show is a show that takes place mainly on a ship instead of a planet. That's basically. Planet Hell is the planet. And wow, the white balance is really screwed for some reason. It's funny. I'm gonna keep going though. It's funny. But yeah, so we have looks like a zombie ghost or something. Yeah. Okay, the Arbiter of Kydraconis. It's another bottle show. So it's another ship. Mainly, they go to Kydraconis. It was the Arbiter, the Numisi and Latori, and now it's the Kydraconis people. It's all linked up. The Elijah and all that other stuff. All the hints they gave way off in the distant future of the planet of the fallen ones is alluded to in the war that's going on in this 1 year of this story. So that's alluded to. This is what's going on, near as I can tell. And it's sort of a non-war. It's a non-plus war, kind of like the Robotech one. So we have, we don't have a shooting schedule. The writer's strike is over, so we can film, even though we weren't WGA. Even though they really didn't get what they wanted, they just kind of said, okay, yeah. The studios kind of tricked the writers. They kind of said, okay, yeah, only the shows that are streaming. I think that's what they said. Only the shows that are streaming and popular, we're going to pay you the royalties, basically, for the dividends only if the show is popular. Because if it's not popular, why should we pay you? But the writers that were hurting though, the ones that were on strike and losing their shirts, they were ones from popular shows, so they really didn't get anything out of the deal. Yeah, so that's kind of it makes business sense to do that. Yeah, the popular show wouldn't make sense. A show that's not popular, there's a number of other things about the AI and all that other stuff, which isn't up to par yet anyway. But yeah, although a lot of this looks like it was AI written, but it wasn't. It was just that the microphone tracking thing we used a voice to text thing to make it quicker to write it than that would have been back in the day before the thing. And yeah, you can tell. But yeah, we can read it. It makes sense. So, yeah. This is Behind the Eight Ball. This is mainly a planet show, but it has a few bridge scenes. So I'd say Planet Hell, planet show. That's the one where they go to the mobster planet, Sigma Iosha. Here is Incredulous Maximus. They go to the Roman planet from Star Trek. So a lot of Earth-like planets are visited here. And it's the Cillian version, so it's also the TV planet. It's the Ted Turner planet. Same planet. Makes sense. It wasn't destroyed. Kydraconis actually kind of is too. The other TV planet. Yeah, that one's explored as well. Yeah, we have a lot of interesting crossover stuff. We have a lot of the TMS characters are painted up. They kind of look like the 2410's Star Trek Online characters a little bit. The TMS? That makes sense. Yeah, so they kind of crossed over with Starship Gala. It'll make sense. The Evergreen people have the green chevrons, and the Iosians have gold. So we have, or maybe the Roman ones. But yeah, this is a fun one. Oh, and Prom, isn't it? Yeah, we got Prom and Chez La Vie, and decided like immediately on. Okay, what does Chez La Vie look like as a Cillian character? What would he be from Trek Core? As a Vulcan, obviously, he'd look like Spock. Vulcan, of course. Yes. Prometheus would of course be a Klingon. And so would Klingbuff, who appears, but also O'Brien. So we have here's the TMS one, Code of Ethics. It's entirely a planet show. There are 2 bridge scenes. They are on a planet the whole time. We do the TMS cult story justice. We do a reflection of the stuff post the fake trials of Cillian realms, which you don't need to know about because they mention them. You don't need to know. Don't ask, don't tell. Show, don't tell kind of thing. Not don't ask, don't tell. No, definitely ask and tell. Definitely. If it's that, but it's not that. So we have. Yeah. Be fun. But yeah, so it's the later, during the pandemic story that was submitted. Code of Ethics. Yeah. So this one was from there, and but the Kid Fillet people, so it should be fun. Yeah, we decided to go to that one. Yeah, well, of course, it's a science fiction story, so it'll be fun. But the 100 already beat us to it, so the COL, the 100, there's a show on Netflix, popular show that probably can now do more episodes. Oh, so there you go. But we had nothing to do with that show. We were not hired onto it. Yeah, so we're not in WGA or the SAG-AFTRA. Yeah, but just in case, yeah, we're back. Here we have, we did Robotech meets Transformers while it was happening. We had to do it to go. No Easy Way Out's the next one. That is a Flodai planet, and it's also a universe where the Elysian appears, the infamous, the Libyan. Originally, it was the Libyan in the Silly Trek story because Back to the Future. It had nothing to do with a group of bad guys being from Libya. She was Libby, and we called her the Libyan. Nothing whatsoever to do with that, other than Back to the Future. Isn't that funny? We're in junior high and high school. That's funny. We're not intending to make fun of other countries or good guys or bad guys. We were just teenagers. Naive teenagers, and we had to change her name to change it to Elysian, and it makes sense in the story. And also, she's very similar to the Ariana character from the other one. She was going to be called Ariadne, but of course that's the Bar Wars later. She can't be called that. And from the Fearful Symmetry and the Arbiter, and this is the 3rd act. So I expanded on those stories and blended them into the later one. So she's in the later ones too. No Easy Way Out included. Yeah, and Bluesen, Chekhov, Chica Bonita, Castro. Yeah. Then there's the Earth one where they go to Pine Hill. Well, what it is now, basically. Standing around outside. Finally getting to the Academy and all that. And I just read the up to the end. This one I was like, oh, this is hilarious. The ending is like, oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, it does leave a door open for... we'll finish this, of course, but it does leave the door open for the possibility of making more of them, even if it's the final season. Possibly a 90-minute motion picture. Wrapping up the entire series. May or may not. We're not saying we're going to... It does wrap up in this story. This 8 or 9 episodes does wrap up. They're about 45 minutes each, so they're shorter than the Robotech ones. In fact, if you add them all up, it's just a little shorter than the 9 hours of Robotech meets the Transformers amounted to the 3-hour miniseries. A little shorter than that. Just a little. It's maybe 8.5 hours or something, but yeah, 7.5 hours. Yeah, so yeah, yeah, so this is the making of and stuff, and because of Chimera channel, we're going to post it up there. I'm not sure what they'll do with the Star Trek stuff, in terms of the writer strike. Also, I would be doing review of strange. I would be doing a review of Lower Decks, but for some reason their website has been down for a day and a half, and it will not load Lower Decks. It's their website. Amazon Prime, they just won't load it. So they had to do other things. Had I known that was going to happen, I would have started filming. But no. Anyway, so yeah, so Saturday we start filming tomorrow, Saturday. And it's not on any serious schedule, really. Typical 45-minute episode of our Star Trek. It takes 3 or 4 days to put together, and then so every week we get one done. But yeah, the pilots first. We could do the bridge scenes first, but considering that the first story has the first story and the second story and really the third kind of all have sort of bottle show on the bridge anyway. They kind of all have to be done. Yeah, you kind of can't jump ahead because it's all right there. Leave the bridge constructed and just move it. Set up the other set and move the bridge and put it back. The bridge want to do the scene outside. Well, not outside, but in the soundstage. Can't do anything outside because that would be. But yeah, the writer's strike, the other stuff for the writer's strike for the dividends and stuff like that, and the extra insurances and stuff. I guess that kind of works for them, but it does seem like they're getting shafted again. Doesn't seem like they're actively getting anything because the writers that were doing the most complaining are the ones that were from shows that weren't making any money anyway. So they aren't getting anything. Because they say, we're not going to give you residuals for that show that was only one season. Yeah, we're not going to do that. So that's what they were doing. That's what they were saying. I wasn't saying. They were saying that. As a producer of my own stuff, I can't really get residuals either way anyway, or AdSense revenue from myself. The stories that the Transtech stories were based on earlier works that were written many years ago and then rewritten as Transformers and Robotech stories. They don't count because they were written dozens of years ago, so they don't count. This is newer. This counts. So yeah, we had to wait for this. This is new. Yeah, stuff for newly written stuff. Yeah, this counts. So yeah, but not scabbing for our own stuff. That's not possible. Yeah, voice acting is me. So yeah, Mark's cards. So yeah, that's it for the evening then. And yeah, this is making of. I'm going to put this up with the other making of footage early because it doesn't reveal anything. And at some point in the future, I will review the ships. Each ship shows up in the movies and stuff. Also, I thought it would be funny as a gag to spoof the Ready Room show with Will Wheaton and have it be the Ready Room show with Will Wheaton action figure. Well, I might do something like that. We'll see. Maybe I'll do something. That'd be funny. Just as a gag. Oh, the not so ready room. The not ready room. Or the lackadaisical room. It would be the opposite of ready. Like the unprepared room or something. The ill-prepared room. The ill-prepared room. See, that gag is way funnier than the very short treks have been. That gag right there, the not so ready room. That's funny. No, Booger Planet is not funny. That's just stupid and childish. And humiliating Spock because he doesn't get humor is not funny. Because he did before. What's the deal? It doesn't make sense. In the first one where they did the juxtaposition, because Kirk would totally be say to skin a cat to a cat lady. No, he wouldn't. Not at all, ever. So the whole premise of that one, all three of those was kind of stupid. Like we do it better. Yeah, but yeah, Red Strike's over, so we're doing what we're doing, but it doesn't really impact us at all, anyways. Yeah, so yeah, I won't ramble.